Okay, this is the second part or the second phase of constructing the Simplicity teddy bear. The pattern pieces are the front of the body front. You're going to cut two pieces like this and like this. So once again, I'm going to say if the pattern asks for two, it is one traced this way and cut this way, and one traced the opposite way. You are going to trace 4 copies, cut 4 of the leg pattern. So it will be 2 pieces, two copies going in this direction, and 2 copies that are traced from the pattern flipped over in the opposite direction. So 2 this way and 2 this way. Make sure that you copy the triangles here, they're very important, and also mark the large and the 2 small circles on the foot, because those also come into play. And the same thing with the circles on the body front. Right here, there's a large circle and 2 small circles. These 2 small circles I want to mention. Between these 2 small circles, if you mark them, you'll know that you're supposed to sew the leg of the teddy bear between these 2 circles. This piece here is the sole or the bottom of the bear's foot. So you are going to sew a flat bottom to this bear's foot, and the 2 pieces of the leg are going to wrap around the sole, and this is the sole of the foot, okay? The bottom of the foot, basically. So you can trace 2, one this way or this way. It doesn't matter. I think that they're basically the same. So you could just trace 2 this way. So these are the right half and the left half of the body front. I wrote R for the right side to represent, I traced that from the right side of the pattern with the lettering on it. And I put a W for wrong side, that I traced it this way. It's just a little reminder to myself that this is the flipped blank side of the pattern. And that's it, just to remind me. So I'm going to, I transferred the marks on the pattern. Even though this is blank, I can still transfer the triangles and these little dots. What I did was I poked a dress pin in the middle of the little dots here on the pattern when I was tracing it with the right side up. And then I stuck a little thin marker there and let the marker kind of bleed through the little hole that I made with the dress pin, and then I drew a large circle where I saw a large circle and 2 small circles where I saw 2 small circles. So I copied them on the right and left side, and when I flip this pattern over onto the blank side, I do see where the marker dots were, and I just need to flip it over to see and remind myself to draw a large circle up near the neck and small circles over here toward the base of the body front. So you see where these 2 triangles are on the body front. You are going to put these 2 edges together, line them up together, edge to edge like this, wrong sides to the outside. That's how you sew almost everything. And good sides touching like this. I always say good sides kissing, okay? Good sides touching, wrong sides facing out. And the triangles are lined up so one is on top of the other like this. Okay, triangles lined up, one on top of the other. Okay, so let's just pin the very bottom of the body front, and then the top, and then put some pins where the triangles are located, and then we are going to sew. Draw that seam allowance, that dotted line. That's where you're supposed to stitch with a marker first, so I don't have to really think about it. All I have to really do is focus on sewing and keeping my stitches on the line that I drew. The seam allowance on this Simplicity teddy bear pattern is 1/4 of an inch from the outside edge of the pattern. Okay, and I'm just going to put maybe like one more pin here. You could use as many pins as you want, but sometimes when you're sewing they do get in the way. But the point of using these dress pins, and you should pin them this way so that the head of the pin, the little bead or the flower, whatever's on the end of your dress pin, is facing outwards, and the pin goes in and comes back out on the same side of the material, is so that you can pull them out when you are sewing on the sewing machine. But it also keeps the pieces from sliding out of position so that your edges, the two edges, stay aligned. That's really important. You don't want one side of your pattern or your fabric to slide down. Okay, I'm going to go and draw with my marker a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can just make it a solid line or a dotted line, whatever you want, but make sure it goes underneath those triangles. So that way I don't really have to worry about it. I could just look at my line that I pre-drew and just sew and stay on that line. So we're going to go now and use the back stitch and stitch the body front from the top of the neck hole, this is the neck hole, down to this little pointy area, which is the bottom or the base of the body front. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thread your needle. My needle has a big enough hole that I can, if I cut a nice clean cut on the edge of on the end of my thread, I can put it in my sewing needle, hand sewing needle, very easily. Cut about a 15-inch piece. Don't bother like cutting a humongous piece because it'll just get tangled up when you're trying to pull a extra long piece of thread through your fabric. So it's not worth doing that. I'm going to start here at the neck, and I'm going to start on the line, but I'm going to start a little bit in, about a 1/4 of an inch in from the neck edge. Pull the thread from the back of the work to the front. I'm going to back stitch, so I'm going to go to the right close to the edge of both pieces of fabric, then take the needle and swivel it to the front, so I'm going to the left now of this little piece of thread that's coming out of the middle. Okay, now I've done one stitch. I'm going to go to where my last stitch ended, so I'm going to insert my needle where I see the last stitch, and then while the needle's still in the fabric, I'm going to go forward the space of one stitch, and I'm going to take the dress pin out because it's kind of in the way, and I'm going to keep on inserting the needle where my last stitch ended. I'm going to insert the needle, and then kind of turn the needle forward so that it comes past my little string in the middle, and I'm going to continue the back stitch, doing the back stitch all the way. Now don't pull on the thread, or this fabric is going to get all wrinkled up and it's going to pucker up, and you want it to just lay flat. So don't pull on the yarn. If you did, then just kind of flatten it out, smooth it out with your hand so that the sewing thread is not being pulled overly tight. Okay. Okay, I'm just finishing up the front, the body front of the bear. I'm just going to use my needle and just tie off my string. And I'm going to cut a little tail, and this is what the body front looks like when you flip it over to the good side. It's nice and clean. You should not see any of your stitches at all if you made nice tight little stitches. If you made big stitches that are like half an inch long, you will see your stitches and it will not be attractive. But if you make nice little short tight stitches, neat stitches, then everything's going to look completely neat and you won't see any of your sewing at all on this side. You'll just see kind of a clean line.